share briefly that we have one other webinar that is introductory, where we go over details. And today it's more of a social gathering, and we have a special guest. So you may not get many of your technical questions about AIM2Flourish answered today, because it's more focused on what Maria Emilia wants to share. But we can do a Skype afterwards, or of course you will be invited to our next webinar, which is beginning September. But if you want before that, we can always do a Skype. Okay?
Wonderful. So if I'm given an email ID of the person that I can be in contact with regularly?
Yes. Yeah. And Claire sends out a note the next day where she has the emails of the people that were here and other contact information to set up an individual Skype, etc. Yeah. Okay. Mary Grace, so nice to see you in your new continent.
Oh, I'm unmuted now. I'm Mary Grace Neville, and I've been working with this group especially on trying to help broaden our understanding as teachers, as faculty members, about the understanding of peace. And so the goal number 16 is about peace and inclusive societies, justice, sustainability, what's required for development to occur. And so I'm teaching this semester. You can see my background. I've arrived this past week at a liberal arts college outside of Ifrane, Morocco, called Al Qawain, and all of the introductory and advanced management students will be doing interviews with businesses and entrepreneurs, especially in developing countries, where we can highlight experiences of entrepreneurs or established businesses in which the business helps to contribute to a socioeconomic fabric in which investors want to engage and participate. So that could come through empowering women, because there's a direct relationship with how economic stability and improvement occurs. I've just posted a sighting on an entrepreneur who started a technology firm in Ghana with a group in Nigeria, and it's on inventory management. And it's an example for me on how accountability in monies, donations, sales force, in purchasing, can actually help increase investor trust and confidence, which increases the climate for peace. And so, Arun, I'm happy to send you anything I'm working on for my class, or anybody else who's using this, but I'm really trying to enrich our understanding of what does peace mean with this group. So I apologize for the ambient noise, but I don't have a good cell connection, so I found the place outdoors where it's closest to the router and I can actually hear something. So I'll go back on mute.
Thank you very much, and it was not too bad. I think that when we are all unmuted, then maybe the connection gets a little weaker. Eva, good morning to you.
Good morning. Nice to see you. I may have to run in and out. I have 2 workmen here at the house for some repairs and stuff, but I'll be with you otherwise. I wanted to mention that Marva Dawson, who also signed up for the business department in HLSCC, H. Lavity Stout Community College. She's involved in registration right now, so she can't attend the meeting, but I think that she can get it on YouTube, correct?
Eva, can you introduce yourself for those that have not met you and where you're connecting from?
Sure. I'm on the island of Tortola in the British Virgin Islands. For those that aren't too familiar with the Caribbean, it's not far from St. Thomas, which most people know, in the U.S. Virgin Islands. I work at the H. Lavity Stout Community College as a manager of the science labs. And excuse me one second. Yes, I might have to take off in a moment. I also am the faculty advisor to the Student Environmental Club, and that's how I hope to incorporate this program with my students, because they can go out and do interviews about how people are doing environmentally happy things. So that would be my part.
Thank you very much. And for those that ever dreamt of going to the Caribbean, there you go. You know, there are people, faculty working in Tortola.
Right.
Dream come true. And do you want to, is there any connection? Because we have two Baskins here on the screen.
Yes, I am Roberta Baskin's stepmother. And longtime friend.
Yeah.
So there she is.
Yeah, Eva is
Very welcome. I knew that, but I wanted just to highlight that we have this very wonderful presence of you.
No, actually, Isabel, she's a human mermaid.
Kelsey, good morning to you. You have to unmute yourself and share a little bit where you are, where you're connecting from.
Good morning, everybody. I appreciate you letting me join in. I'm neither a professor nor an expert, but I had the good fortune of meeting Claire a few weeks ago through a customer discovery process that I'm doing for a business accelerator program called the Clean Tech Open. So I'm the CEO of a startup called Rimanoczy, and we take plastic waste and we convert it into useful construction materials on a modular basis. So we are trying to decentralize the recycling industry in developing countries and developed countries to generate jobs and economic development and environmental improvement around that. So we're at the Clean Tech Open, and I found out a few days ago that I will be moving to Santiago, Chile in October and participating in a program run by Startup Chile. So I'm extremely excited about that as well. And probably a big thanks to Claire for connecting me with some people that helped. So I'm super excited to hear everything that Maria has to say. She connected me with one of her colleagues, Juan Esteban in Colombia, and I had a good conversation with him about Sistema B. So I'm really excited to hear more about it.
Thank you very much, Kelsey. And now let's go to Maria, our special guest, Maria Emilia Correa. And if you want to introduce yourself, and then just take it from there. And you can share the screen afterwards and also explain us if you want us to interrupt you with questions. Just make sure that we have like 7 minutes at the end. I have some announcements and news to share before we do the close-up, okay?
Okay, so thank you so much for having me here today. It is fascinating to see people from so many parts of the world, no? Technology is amazing, you know? Such few years ago, we would have had to fly to meet somewhere very complicated and expensive. This is wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much for the opportunity. So I am Maria Emilia Correa. I'm originally from Colombia, and I live now in Santiago, Chile. So you're all welcome to visit in any of those countries whenever you're here. I've been working on sustainability and business for the last 25 years, and most of those years I worked for multinational corporations. 12 of my 25 years of professional life, I was vice president for sustainability for companies like Natura Cosmetics in Brazil and Grupo Nueva here in Latin America with Mr. Stefan Schmidt-Heine, the founder of the World Business Council for Sustainable Development. And 5 years ago, I decided to leave corporate life, searching for a way to give new life, let's say, to this idea that business can be a force for good, because I think we need new tools and new ways to think about this. And 4 years ago, we created Sistema B, which is the center of my presentation today. So if I may share my screen, let's see if we can manage this technology. There, can you see? Okay, good. So Colombia is a country that is known for many things, and I think that fortunately now, most of all because of the peace process with the guerrilla, which is extraordinary, but also the biodiversity of the country is extraordinary. Many people remember Shakira and Sofia Vergara, but I want to talk today about something that is less well known, which is the search for blue, for the perfect blue. It so happens that the color blue is fundamental to complete the full natural color spectrum. But it has been a very elusive color for artists and for industry. And many wars and long-distance trade stories for ages are explained because of the search for the perfect blue. So what happened is that a few years ago, a group of entrepreneurs working with the communities that live in the very humid forests of the Chocó region in Colombia found a tree called jagua, which produces a fruit that they discovered produces the only natural blue that can be used by the food industry. So they created a company called AIM2Flourish, and they are about to commercialize the first natural blue that can be used by the food industry, which has an extraordinary impact in terms of environment and health for many of us. But this is not just a story of business success. I want to tell you about AIM2Flourish because AIM2Flourish is a life regenerating company. Life regenerating company. It's a new type of company that is being created that is defining its success not just by its financial profits, but by the recovery of healthy ecosystems and building the resilience of the communities who live in those ecosystems. The pace and the depth of the environmental and social problems of the world is such that it is not enough for us to reduce harm. What we need to do today is to rebuild what we have damaged. And that's what life regenerating companies are doing all around Latin America. And one of the most fascinating parts of this idea of AIM2Flourish is that jagua, this tree, is a pioneer species. So by planting jagua, what AIM2Flourish is doing is actually working to regenerate the tropical forest ecosystem. Together with the communities who live there. Because jagua, like yerba mate, figs, are pioneer species that are helping entrepreneurs rebuild degraded ecosystems all through Latin America. And life regenerating companies are an example of this new economy that is emerging in Latin America and the world. It is really a very innovative market where financial returns are generating social and environmental value for all stakeholders and not just a few shareholders. This is a new understanding of the economy, and this new understanding of the economy and the design of corporate vehicles that are required for business to be able to actually participate in creating positive impacts is creating tremendous enthusiasm and optimism among entrepreneurs, large market players, civil society leaders, academics, politicians, investors. And the ultimate idea here is to integrate collective social and environmental needs into the DNA of business and the economy. So Sistema B, our work in Sistema B has been inspired by the leadership role of pioneer species. Sistema B was created 4 years ago by 4 friends, and it is a Latin American expression of this global citizen movement that is encouraging market entrepreneurship at the same time that is promoting a new type of social leadership, building communities. And the common vision here is that we are looking for an integrated economic, social, and environmental genetics, a new genetics for business and the economy. What we need to redefine is the purpose, the reason of the measure of success, the reason for being both of business and of the economy. And what has been fascinating in these 4 years is to see that citizens from all avenues of thinking and interests, like consumers, investors, entrepreneurs, business owners and managers, academics, students, journalists, politicians, are joining this movement and leading by example and acting to redefine the meaning of success in the economy. So just to tell you a little bit about what we do, we have a very close alliance with, let's say, first of all, Sistema B is both an organization and a community. And we work with a systemic perspective in which we are present today in 10 countries in Latin America and in several cities. So we work with a local perspective, a regional perspective, but we are part of this global movement and we work with a global perspective of sharing. And what we do is wherever we go, we articulate 6 communities: investors, politicians or public policy leaders, opinion leaders, academia, large companies, and big corporations. And it is the articulation and the common work of these 6 communities that is creating the ecosystem that is really promoting this new economy. So we are all joined by this vision. We want to build an economy where success is measured by the well-being of people, society, and nature.
Hello?
We're talking of an economy that is inclusive and regenerative. Because the success should be the well-being of all, of people and nature, and not just profits, right? We started our work working with these values of co-construction, passion, diversity, interdependence, care, and innovation. And I think that the underlying value that permeates all the work we do is collaboration, generosity, and not trying to control, but allowing people to participate in the way they, in their own role and in the way they feel that they can impact more. So we have this close alliance with B-Lab. B-Lab is the organization in the United States that created this extraordinary idea of big corporations. Big corporations are a fascinating new tool for business to participate in creating a new world. We started working in 2012, and since 2012, we have about 300 certified big corporations in Latin America, in 10 countries. And
Maria, excuse me, can you give a brief definition of B Corporation in case someone is not aware of that?
I'll get there. So we have about 2,000 companies that have completed or used the B Impact Assessment to improve their social and environmental management. Anyone who has been familiar with the sustainability or the CSR movement may share my joy in these numbers, because in 3.5 years, having 2,000 companies in Latin America joining in, looking for these tools is amazing. I think it talks about the desire of thousands, literally thousands of people to look for new ways to act in consistency with their values. I think that is very fundamental. So what we have today is about almost 2,000 companies around the world in 50 countries that are certified B corporations. And now I'm going to tell you a short summary of what a certified B corporation is. A certified B corporation, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear now?
Yes, we hear you fine.
Okay, so a certified B corporation is a corporation where shareholders, and I have to stress this, shareholders are the only ones who can redefine the fiduciary mandate of the company. The owners of the company decide to change the DNA of the company to consider purpose and not just financial results as a measure of success for the company. So it is a company that has purpose as its center, as its core, and the business model is a way to reach the purpose. It's a tool, but not an object in itself. That is the most significant change of B Corporation. That's a huge innovation of B Corporations. And I'm going to give you an example of a little company here in Chile that I think makes clear this difference. Britec is a company that was created to reduce people coming back to jail. How do you call that in English? When people go to jail, are coming to jail and they go out and they come back in huge numbers. 90% of people come to go.
Recidivism?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So this company was created to reduce this problem, and they started by working with people in jail to develop solar heating, water heating systems. But it so happened that it was cheaper after, because of devaluation and whatever, it was cheaper to import those solar heating systems from China than to produce them in the jail with the prisoners, right? So shareholders faced with that situation have two choices. They have an ongoing business that is profitable. They have the channels, they have the customers. Everything is working out fine. They can say, okay, let's import these things from China and forget about the people in jail. This is a good business. Let's go on doing the business. But what people in Britec did is, no, we are not a company that sells water heating systems. We are a company that is reducing the problem of people in jail. So instead of selling these things that made no financial sense, today they are working with furniture, wood furniture. So the business model, the product, what they do is a tool for the purpose. I think this is a good example. It's a small company, but I think it's a good example to clarify the difference that it makes when shareholders redefine purpose as the center of action of the company, and the business model that creates the financial profits as the tool. So that is the first and fundamental difference of a B corporation, or characteristic rather the difference. In order for this idea to work, shareholders need to redefine their bylaws. So they have to change their bylaws, and this purpose needs to go into the legal documents that created the company. So this becomes a legally binding commitment for shareholders and stakeholders. So this is voluntary. It is voluntary to become a B corporation, but once you decide to become a B corporation, it becomes legally binding. So this allows you it's a mission lock. It allows you to make sure that purpose goes on over the years, and it's not like this year we're working with children, this next year we work with water, this whatever, This becomes the core of the company. Companies that decide to obtain a certification also have to go to an assessment, a B impact assessment, and they have to obtain over 80 points from 200. They go to a verification process, and they finally sign a declaration of interdependence, where we all recognize that we are one with the world and with society. So you see, when we talk about certified B corporations, we're actually talking about shareholders who go through all this process, which is, I think, when I learned about B corporations, I thought it was the most fascinating tool to really allow business to become a source for a new economy and a source for a good society. So in Latin America, the certified B corporations are using actually the power of markets to solve social and environmental problems. For example, we have many companies that are promoting positive leadership and a sense of belonging for citizens. And in Colombia, obviously, there are several companies working for collaboration and peace. So peace is the purpose of the company. And what they do is, for example, they produce T-shirts with people who are coming out of the war, for example. or they sell snacks, or they sell bread, or they sell, or they're a communication company. So the business model, the product and service that is put in the market is a tool to create peace. And this, you can see this presentation later, but this is a list of some of the social and environmental problems that entrepreneurs are choosing as core purposes for their businesses, and they are using the market to solve those problems, or to participate and collaborate in solving those problems, because really nobody on their own is able to solve none of these problems, right? This is a systemic situation, so one of the things that we need to learn is to collaborate. So this is Sistema B. What have we done in these 4 years since Sistema B? We have promoted actions for massive public awareness. Like the pictures you're seeing here is something called the International Social Innovation Festival that happens every year in the first week of November. It's been happening for 4 years in Santiago, and this year is happening in 7 cities around the Latin America. Last year we had 40,000 people attending this event. We had 60 international speakers, but people like the founder of WikiLeaks, Mary Robinson from the UN Human Rights, the first woman astronaut from the US, 60 extraordinary speakers, 25 rock bands like Café Tacuba, Eli Guerra, Julieta Venegas. And last year we had 40,000 people attending these events that are free and that happen in the same streets where people have been going out to demand changes in society. And I find that people go out to protest and to demand in the streets, and the solutions are always discussed among very few people in closed doors in very posh hotels, right? So we are taking solutions and new ways of thinking to the streets where the same protests happen. And all these events are free. So everyone has the right to attend, because it is not fair that the solutions, the problems are for everyone, but the solutions are discussed by the few. So this is an open and free space for all. And just to give you an anecdote of something that happened last year that is fascinating, we have no security in these events. We had 40,000 people attending this concert. It's a rock concert in a park, open. Anyone can come and go. And obviously, you can imagine there was alcohol, and you started smelling all sorts of things, and we didn't expect so many people. We were expecting about 15,000 people, and we got about 40,000 people. So the concert, Julieta Venegas from Mexico finished her presentation at 12 o'clock midnight. And people who attended the concert were invited to clean the park. And by 1 a.m., and I can show you sometimes pictures, you will see the park is impeccable. So not only we didn't have any problems, but we have a show of civility, of 40,000 people, young people in a rock concert, drinking alcohol and whatever else, with no security, putting themselves to the service of cleaning their space. And I think that it was just because they were invited to do so. It was not a say, go away and someone will clean. No, you were here, you clean, and we cleaned. So that's one of the things we do. We also promote collective creation of public policies, inviting any citizen who wants to participate. We're also inviting large corporate players like Bancolombia, which is the largest commercial bank in Colombia, and it's a huge commercial bank, as a matter of fact. It operates in 10 countries, and they are using the B impact assessment for all their suppliers, and in December, they're launching the use of the B impact assessment for all their customers. So just to give you a dimension, since this whole movement started in 2008, 40,000 companies around the world have used the B impact assessment. 40,000. since 2008, right? 8 years. Bancolombia has 12,000 suppliers. So just one company can reach to 12,000 suppliers. And they have 1 million small and medium-sized customers. So just one company, this is the reach of large companies. You know, this is the fundamental importance of large corporations joining in the movement to, maybe they cannot become a certified B Corporation, but they can certainly invite their value chain to improve their social and environmental management. We're also inviting cities like Rio de Janeiro, where Rio de Janeiro is inviting all the companies that are operating in the municipality to use the B impact assessment to improve their social and environmental management as well. And we are helping train hundreds of potential consultants or entrepreneurs who are people who want to help companies to understand the B impact certification and the B impact assessment and to join in the movement. Because our idea is not, Sistema B is a very small organization and we work with open hands. We want to be, we give our knowledge for free for anyone who wants to join in the movement and help others. So that is called multipliers, multiplicadores B. And finally, Academia B, which is I think the most interesting thing here, which is a project we started this year, because I think that one of the challenges that this movement has is that it has advanced so fast and so fascinating, and the dynamic is amazing, but we need to offer evidence of the change that we seek. And in order to do that, we have to move our thinking from anecdotes to theory and from theory to public policy. And I think that the best people to do that are people in academia. So Academia B is a bridge between the B movement and academia to advance Sistema B by promoting research, supporting student-led networks, and offering public policy suggestions. We are currently advancing research on topics like the relationship between the B movement and climate change, the relation of the B movement and diversity and inclusion, and we're also comparing performance of B Corps in Australia, Canada, and Latin America. And here I'm coming to our relationship with AIM2Flourish. So the B movement has a generational identity. It is amazing to see thousands of young people finding purpose and collective identity in this movement. It is so fascinating. I think this is a very exciting time to live. Like the 60s were politics, the 70s environment. I think it is a great hope to see that the 21st century is probably the century of collaboration, compassion, and not competition in the traditional sense. So, and solidarity and sharing, like as the basis of the economy. I think this is a very exciting possibility that we are witnessing now. But in order to build a new economy, the young people need to learn in a new way about business, collaboration, and compassion. We are very much all educated, at least I was very much educated to compete, to conquer, to think that my success is to be better than my friends. And I think that the young people need to learn different than we did about business, because business can be also built on collaboration and compassion. So what we're doing and what we're aiming to do with AIM2Flourish is support these student-led networks and teaching materials that are, I think, extraordinary tools and experiences for young people who are leading the business and the economy in the near future. So getting together with AIM2Flourish, can you hear me? Okay. Getting together with AIM2Flourish is like a dream come true, because AIM2Flourish has
Hello, Maria. I think you froze. Hello. Well, her image froze. So while we are getting her back, I invite you to start thinking and writing into the chat questions that you may have. And the reason that I ask you to do that is so that we have all your questions, and even if we run short of time, we will get some answers from Maria. And so we also, everybody gets to see the questions of everybody else. So while we are waiting for, Maria, are you back?
I'm back.
Okay, good.
I'm back. So I was just saying that AIM2Flourish is an extraordinary opportunity, but I have an invitation just to finish this presentation today for all of you and for any teacher and researcher who might be interested in these topics, because we're having in November 30th in Medellin, Colombia, an invitation for people who want to think, what does it mean to be Latin American? In order for all of us to understand what is it that we can give as a gift to the world. That is the center question for our invitation for November 30th. What is the gift of Latin America for the world? And obviously we're focusing on opportunities for young entrepreneurs because it's the future that we are building here. So you're all invited to come to Medellin. If anyone is interested, just let me know, and we'll include you in our database. And I think that just to finish, when we think about what is it that we are offering the world, we think that Sistema B is offering the power of the collective identity that comes from a shared desire to act in the economy in consequence with our values, in order to create a society where we want to live. So, muchas gracias.
Thank you so much, Maria. What a wonderful presentation. In the moment where you lost the connection, I just was inviting everybody to type into the chat their questions, because I thought that way we all see what are the questions of others, and we keep them just in time, just in case you cannot answer them all. We have them there and you can answer them afterwards. So we have the first one from Mary Grace. She said, do you have best practices emerging for what particular capacities we need to be building in classrooms so that the tomorrow leaders emerge with the compassion skills you mentioned?
That is an extraordinary question, because I am so sad to see that people in business schools and engineering schools and all that today, people 18, 20 years of age are learning to do business in the same way that our grandparents did learn to do business, focus on competition, on destroying the other. All these war images that are used in business schools, I think, are terrible, that you win if you destroy others, you win if you're better than, even if you're better than the people who are sitting next to you, So I don't have best practices necessarily developed, but we certainly have extraordinary experiences of things that are happening in terms of companies collaborating with each other, business people opening up in an incredible, generous way to work with others and redefining their own measure of success. So if anyone in academia would like to help us write those things down, we would just be so happy, because we need the tools to actually take those ideas to the classroom to see that you can be a successful business person, but you don't have to be mean to others, and you can be close to your values. You can bring your values and your ethics to work.
Maria, if I can jump in just for a sec, Isabel, can you hear me?
Yes.
One of the stories that you told is a wonderful example for Mary Grace of business for peace, and that's the prison where they're making the solar energy, and where the business model is literally peace is the purpose of the company. And those are great, just for everybody to know that there's a tab on the AIM2Flourish website called Sightings, which is also a place that gives students ideas. And so, and also in answer to Mary Grace's question, a company like that is modeling peace. Another
comment I wanted to make to Mary Grace and also to Maria. that in the LEAP group, what we do precisely is colleagues are developing compassion as part of the mindset. So there are lots of tools. Stacy is doing it with her students. She just made a wonderful presentation past Monday on the LEAP Cafe and the storytelling. And so if you want to get in touch, we have resources there. Maybe we can find a way to connect with your resources to Maria as we're putting it together on a new platform.
That's why I'm so fascinated to meet you from AIM2Flourish. You have developed the tools, and the only thing we have to do is to really distribute them, because there are so many teachers and students anxious and really avid of these kinds of perspectives, no?
Definitely. We have another question from Kelsey. Do you foresee public policy catching up with the social and private sector movement to prioritize collaboration and the sustainability development goals? How can governments and other bodies incentivize private companies to prioritize doing good and doing well over just doing well?
So, you know, I'm an activist, and I believe in the power of the citizen. So we have had these experiences that are extraordinary. We invited, it's called in Spanish, 101 Soluciones. And what we do is we open up websites, and we have this huge media, radio, TV, whatever, invitation to every citizen in around the country to suggest, for example, what public policy suggestions would we have to support entrepreneurship with a purpose? So we opened that for like 3 months, for example. We gathered the suggestions, we edit them, obviously. We have a curator for those suggestions, and we produce a book or, you know, a summary. And for example, we delivered that to President Bachelet when she was first installed, and many of those suggestions are already part of economic policy here in Chile. Mm-hmm. And I think the power of the citizens, we can go out to the streets and protest and, you know, destroy a lot of things, but we can also join in to suggest, and I think there's a lot of wisdom in collective intelligence. And and politicians, if one thing they know is the power of the collective is very important for them. And then actually, you know, there are a lot of politicians who are also looking forward and sharing our ideas. You know, I sometimes, you know, I act with a prejudice with politicians, but it is fascinating to see. For example, we are promoting legislation to allow for the creation of benefit corporations in Latin America and all the countries where we are. It's been a challenge because, you know, the politics is always complicated. We tried one thing and we tried the other, whatever, no? Nothing worked. I was very depressed and so on. And 6 months ago, maybe a little more, we got a call from 2 politicians, one from the extreme right and one from the extreme left. They had on their own met because they met at our festival, and they saw that and they said, why don't we join in? And they on their own are presenting the benefit corporation legislation in Chile. They decided, we never thought they would like to join, they join in on their own. So I think that one has to have a generous, open hand attitude to share, because people are just looking for ways to participate. So public policy, it will come.
Thank you very much. What other questions do we have here? I only see, I just posted 2, but before we go to mine, Jan, Eva, Kelsey, Mary, Roberta, Claire, do you have any other questions? Stacy had to leave and she apologized and she sent you a thank you very much and looks forward to learning more. She had to. Okay, so while we wait for your questions, I had another one that was, how do you train the people? Where can we learn more about that? I would like to get a training. How is it available?
So this program called Multiplicadores B or B Multipliers, we have a 5-session, I don't know, workshop, or I don't know what the name would be. So it's 5 sessions where people from Sistema B and B corporations and entrepreneurs actually, and we developed a like a methodology to help people understand how to help others, because it's not just to understand what the big corporations are and how to or the impact assessment. You know, this training is intended for you to be able to then take your knowledge to help others.
Is it something that you will have available online at some point?
Yeah, we have a website.
But the training is online or is face-to-face?
Face-to-face.
Okay, here was a project, do it online so I can do it.
Well, we've tried it online, but I don't think it works the same, you know? Because what has happened is that the process of the multipliers actually has created an extraordinary community. So what happens is that after being there, people, you know, and they are doing amazing things on their own. It doesn't necessarily happen so well when you are not, you know, but if you, I mean, if you can tell me how to do it online in a better way, we'll do it online.
But there are a lot of combined ways. We can take this offline later, and I can share some examples about what Otto Scharmer has been doing. It's a way to multiply and to combine also people meet locally. So I can share more with this later. Any other questions from Mary Grace? I'm intrigued that, and let's take this as the last one. Mary Grace says that I'm intrigued by Maria's November. What does it mean to be Latin America? When I taught in Ghana, some students self-organized a forum for the full semester of Monday evenings on their own theme. What does it mean to be an African in the 21st century? I'm honored they invite me in. The discussions were amazing, provocative, not always aligned by any means. Perhaps that's an approach to teaching consciousness shifts. A mentor or faculty advisor establishing safe space so self-organizers can gather together over time. Just a thought.
That's a good idea.
And there's another comment from Jan. Thank you, Maria, for your presentation. And how far does the B Corp principles lean on other related guidelines, for example, SDGs?
Yeah, well, you know, the whole B toolkit, the B impact assessment, B analytics, and the B certification itself has several characteristics that are very interesting. First, it is the first toolkit developed by business for business. It was developed by entrepreneurs for entrepreneurs, you know. I was part of the Global Reporting Initiative. I was part of the group that created the Global Reporting Initiative, and I was, I mean, you know, many of the FSC, ISO 26000, whatever, there are all many, those are many tools that are from civil society to business. So the B is for business management, and it is very management oriented. So you have to keep that in mind. Because those are tools for anyone in business who wants to improve social and environmental management. Those are tools for that purpose, right? The B Impact Assessment was developed in a way that makes it consistent with the Global Reporting Initiative, with the Global Compact. Certainly you can join the Sustainable Development Goals as well, because the tool is open for business people who want to really make social. I mean, the commitment you make is to creating positive impact. In order to create positive impact, you need to look at impact outside of the company. So the SDGs are perfect in terms of goals for people who want to direct their actions.
Okay, we have a comment from Roberta, and that is really the last one. Maria, I thought the big corporations were considering the SDGs as a tool as well in their arsenal. Is that true?
Hello?
Maria, are you there?
There.
Maria, we cannot hear you. Okay, let me...
You just froze.
Okay. So I will share with you while she's coming back. News you can use. Can you see my screen? Okay, these are just some news about AIM2Flourish. We have 175 nominations already on our website. There were many colleagues that went to the Academy of Management, and we, where Stacy left, when we have pictures, we will share them with you. If you are doing review stories with your students, try to do it in 1 week so that we have a fast turnaround. A new partner that we have with B-Lab Education, and Claire can share with you more about this in the newsletter that she was posting yesterday. So this is just a teaser for your interest. What does that mean? Also, we are starting a podcast series, and the first is George from Mexico with a student. So we invite you, if you want to be the next in the podcast, why not? Maybe with a student, and we have little podcasts that we release and share with everybody. We will soon define where they will be available. Prime 10th anniversary is coming up next year, and there is a call for papers for a journal. And so if you want to write some stories about AIM2Flourish, your experiences, let me know, or Mary Grace, who came gracefully up with this idea. We loved it. And so now we are inviting everybody who wants to co-write, contribute. The deadline is November 18th, so the only way that we can get this done is we do it together. I think it's a very short deadline. So if you have an interest or want to know more, let me know, and or Mary Grace. Social media interns, if you have any students that want to be social media interns with AIM2Flourish, maybe get some credit points. Also story stewards, which are people with good English that volunteer to read the stories and make sure that they are in proper English before they get published. If you know of someone, we look for those volunteers to contribute, and they are welcome. They don't have to be from our system, they can be your friends too. And finally, that there is the first MOOC that Prime is doing on September 5. It's called Managing Responsibly, Practicing Sustainability, Responsibility, and Ethics. Ethics with a TH. It's not like the news that you can use at the top. This was not a joke, this was a typo. And the last thing is, if you have your students are posting stories, make sure that they put some nice pictures that they take with their phones from their interviewee, and also that they share some personal anecdotes from that interview. I think when normally they are used to be very formal, but encourage them for this particular posting that they can also be a little bit more loose, pretend that this is a Facebook, because that will make the platform more interesting for everybody. Okay, so much for my announcements. Mary, did we lose you? Maria, are you back? Oh, you're back. Okay. Can you unmute yourself? Okay, sorry, we lost you. That's why I quickly jumped in to do my commercial. And we are closing, so I just wanted to express my deep gratitude. I'm so glad, Claire, you hit the recording button, because I think this is a precious hour that we had, and with the questions, and that we can also share it with a larger network who is not able to join us here. Can I invite you as a closing just to unmute yourself and just say one word that you want to give to the group?
Abundant.
Gracias.
Contemplating.
Motivated.
Activist.
Networks.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, everybody. Have a lovely afternoon, rest of the day. Maria, we see you in the afternoon. Very good. That will be great, that other people also will have the chance to hear you live, sort of, virtually. Okay? Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye-bye. Thank you so much.